Welcome to the Lead Generation World podcast. My name is Michael Furry. I'm your host. We got a great conversation today with Taryn Lomas of UE.co. Just got acquired by Digital Media Solutions, so we get to talk to her a little bit about that, trends in the insurance vertical, and all kinds of other stuff. So we'll get started with that in just a minute. Don't forget, we've got the show coming up here in about 60 days. It's right around the corner, so don't forget to register. We'll hope to see you there. We got a great agenda. Make sure to check it out. I want to say thank you to our sponsors, Digital Media Solutions, as well as Lending Tree for supporting the show and the podcast. So thank you very much, and everybody else who's been participating in sponsoring and exhibiting at the show. We got a really great group of companies that are going to be there. So thank you to them as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's bring Taryn in and start the discussion. All right. Welcome to the Lead Generation World podcast. I've got Taryn Lomas here from Digital Media Solutions now, but that's sort of new news, work with a new company. Welcome to the show, Taryn.
Thank you.
You guys, congratulations. You guys just got acquired by Digital Media Solutions, which is a big supporter of Lead Generation World. But yeah, that just happened, in the last couple months or last month or so? Weeks?
Yeah, we're in week 3.
Week 3. Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me a little bit, actually, before we dive in, let's just kind of dig in. I like to kind of go back and just kind of learn a little bit of a history of the people on the podcast. Your sort of entrance into lead gen was co-founding a company, which is kind of crazy to think. So tell me how that came about. What was sort of the how did Underground Elephant? How did you go about co-founding the company? And give me the little backstory there.
Sure. So, about 11 years ago, we came together, and the goal really is to provide media to large enterprise-sized businesses. We really got our start in more the subprime finance world, to working the debt, low modification space. We then soon moved into the higher education space, where we spent a good amount of time. And then over the years, I would say, we kind of graduated and grew up and entered the insurance space. And that was about 7 years ago now. And so that's really been the core of the company for the last 7 years. For us, it was a space where we saw a lot of opportunity to come in with really innovative technology and take, the category to another level.
So that's a lot of different sort of verticals, right? I mean, so you have, a loan mod back in the day, mortgage, EDU, insurance, all of which have sort of gone through these kind of crazy waves, especially EDU, and still EDU is still kind of challenging. Loan modification had its day. I don't know where it's at today as an industry or vertical. Are people doing loan mod? I don't think is it even?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't think so. And mortgage is obviously very cyclical, depending on rates and all that kind of stuff. And finally, you guys got into insurance. Is it more of a little bit more of a stable vertical for you guys?
Definitely. I think it's much more stable, but I think a lot at the core, right? A lot of these different categories really have similarities across them, right? If you look at where insurance is today, insurance really focuses on the transparency, where the media came from, and leveraging all the big data to figure out where do we actually want to target the right consumers, and what's that mean from an LTV perspective. And so I think that we kind of look at the maturity of where insurance is today. I think a lot of those other categories are starting to get there, but the amount of data and scalability these insurance companies had made us really excited.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think on the flip side too, it's sort of fragmented in that there's thousands of agents and thousands of small buyers out there, and some are mature and some, aren't, right? I mean, some don't necessarily understand the best practices for working and being successful with leads. But you see that getting, better and better.
Absolutely. We work amongst the largest enterprise carriers on a corporate side, right? So all the big brands. We also support a really large agent base. And so we work with those small business users to ensure that they can be successful with leads and calls. And you're absolutely right. Not every agent is set up for success in that manner. And so we really try to work with the agents to determine what marketing services make sense for their business and ensure that we can help teach them the best practices through webinars and education services.
Yeah. So before we sort of dive into like what you guys are doing now, I'm still curious about the sort of evolution of Underground Elephant going through the different verticals, because I think that's a challenge or a path that a lot of companies go down, which is, okay, we have a core capability, which is marketing, performance marketing, and generating, leads. And we understand the business, but sort of navigating through different industry opportunities, people are always asking, oh, what's the next, big industry, right? So like back in the day, it was loan mods there for like a minute, and how is that, how did you guys, was it sort of the opportunities that kind of came across how you ended up in different industries, or was it more specific to that? Just kind of wondering how you guys sort of navigated it through the different industries.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely the opportunities that came about, right? But I think, at the core, we really invested really heavily into technology. And so as our technology continued to mature and we built in more and more and more, there were only certain categories that we felt really understood how to leverage all that data and deploy it across marketing. So if you think about the debt and loan modification days, I think that the sophistication back then, and just with those type of organizations, it didn't really apply as much as it did across a very large insurance carrier who has all the data and proprietary insights of what does this consumer actually mean from an LTV standpoint, and then how do we bring all that data back into the platform to target the right consumers.
Yeah, so you guys really found a niche based on your capabilities and the technology. Let's talk about that just a little bit.
Sure.
That is a big piece of the company, is that technology platform. Tell me about where that kind of, like, how did that all get started and that development kick off within the company?
Yeah, so when we first started, we really started with like a lead management solution, right? Of just, hey, how do you actually bring the leads into a platform and how do you distribute them appropriately to all your different clients? And then it evolved to technology to support how do we actually better optimize and provide a better consumer experience through our landing pages. And then evolved to, we have all this great data, we're getting all this data back from our clients, and we want to improve the consumer experience and improve the LTV value, right, for our different clients. And so how do you actually bring all that data into the platform and then deploy it across media? We really had to build something special internally in order to deploy that. As of recently, we launched out Comanche, which is our click platform, which was really our last piece of technology to bring in-house. And so all of our tech now today has been proprietary built in-house, and we manage the full cycle. But you think about Comanche, and that allows all of our different clients to access that platform and deploy media across click advertisements and really get really granular as far as targeting. Whether that means multi-car, homeowner, or paying up for certain hours in the day, all those capabilities are at the fingertips of our clients.
Okay, so just a little bit deeper on what exactly Comanche is. It's a click platform. People can go in there and manage their own campaigns.
Exactly, right. So all the major carriers use it today to go in and create campaigns across several different placements, right? Whether they're targeting desktop or mobile, and all the access to all of our different media flows through that platform.
So is it like a content network, or is it where these go out on tons of websites? I mean, is it an ad? It's just an ad network? Is that?
I would say it's a click platform today, right? But that click platform will expand into both calls and leads to be all encompassing for all of our different clients. And I think you think about, the recent acquisition with DMS, and that's one of the things that makes me really excited about is their scalability, right? They generate over 1 billion impressions a month right now. And so as you start thinking about how do we leverage a lot of that media throughout our platform, it gets really, really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys, this is separate from the build out of what you guys did with your partnership with Allstate, right?
That's correct.
So that was actually kind of a big deal too for you guys, partnering with Allstate and building out a Allstate Marketplace. What was that partnership like? You guys helped facilitate some of the lead buying, or what exactly was Allstate Marketplace?
Yeah, so about 6 years ago, we launched a platform called Allstate Marketplace. And the goal was to provide Allstate a platform that allowed them to manage their marketing services under one platform and to allow their agencies to access media from all different types of vendors and ultimately be this media distribution platform for them, right? Offering agents closed loop distribution, a lot of proprietary insights behind the scenes.
Got it. And I'm sure with the experience that you guys have, managing that, and then just being in lead gen for 11 years, you kind of been around the block and you've seen probably everything. And from a lead buying perspective, we talk with people here about, best practices with buying leads and all this sort of stuff. Are there like tips like you would give, any lead buyer out there based on what you've seen on how to properly find companies that are going to provide good quality, because you guys have seen it all. I'm sure you've talked to just about every single insurance lead provider out there, and you've heard all the pitches. You've heard it all and seen it all. What kind of advice do you have for a lead buyer that's like trying to navigate, this ecosystem, trying to find good partners to, partner up with?
Yeah, well, that's a big question because rumors seem to pop up all the time. I think first you really need to vet them of where this media is actually coming from, right? I think it's really easy to pick up the phone and call a big company like ours and be like, hey, we have insurance leads, right? But you really need to vet, like, where are those actually coming from? Are they actually internally sourced? Actually confirming where that media is coming from. And then from there, making sure that you have controls in place from a compliance standpoint, right? Everyone's dealing with TCPA regulations and everything out there, and making sure you have controls in place for that. But I think also of how you actually manage that quality. And are you getting closed loop data back from all your different clients? So you know right away if that source is providing value to your clients or not. And you really have to slow test into all these sources, right? And then start optimizing from there.
Yeah. So it's about some of those controls. I mean, obviously, like I said, you guys for a time, maybe even still now, have a pretty good view of the company, the landscape out there, and these smaller guys necessarily don't. How do they put checks in place to ensure that they're not just getting fraudulent traffic or leads or whatever it may be? Is there any recommendation there, or is
we have built our own proprietary software over the years, right, to handle that. I'm sure there's some good third-party options out there, but, for us, we really kept it in-house.
Yeah. So with regards to that, and then your Click platform, what do you guys do to ensure that there aren't, fraudulent traffic coming through the Click platform?
Yeah, so there's controls put in place from the beginning of the cycle, right? From everything from the intake of that lead, of checking, the basic stuff from IP and all types of different like checks from a technology standpoint, down to actually like a QA process on the back end, right? Manually actually touching some of those consumers through a QA process, right? And then using all of our metrics back from our clients, everything from return rate to quote and policy rate.
Yeah. Have you seen, you said you're getting into calls as well. So right now, is it just clicks and,
yeah. So we're also into leads, and then calls is actually a really large category for us. We focus there both on the live transfer product, and then we also have an inbound like click to call product.
Got it. And so, so you're doing both. Is there, why would one person want a click to call versus a transfer? I would think maybe the transfer obviously maybe it's a little more expensive. But why would one pick one over the other?
I think it's really preference. Some customers really love the warm transfers that they're put through, a pretty heavy script to ensure the consumer's interest and ask a lot of qualifying questions. So if you think about the client who is really targeting, let's say, homeowner or multi-car and looking for that very preferred consumer, a lot of times transfers are a better fit for them. Whereas you have maybe an insurance carrier or client looking for just, basic consumers, right, who are just currently insured and don't require a lot of that extra filtering, then Click to Call is a great product because, from a filtering perspective, you're actually going to have that first line of communication with that consumer, where the warm transfer that went through a call center and then is being routed to you.
Yeah. I think maybe this is a result of your guys' efforts, but it seems like there has been a trend in insurance where it's gone from a lead to click or just a call. So a lot of agents really like calls, and a lot of them, it sounds like traffic just driven to their website. What do you think the reason is for that?
I think that even like you think about like the agents in the small business world, right? They historically always took leads. And I think a lot of that is because the technology didn't allow them to take calls. So we really invested in our side of like, how do you actually tweak your technology to allow even a small business user, right, to go on and quickly pause their campaign or set concurrency caps? Because when you're dealing with an office, right, of only one or two LSPs, you can't have a day cap of 10 and have all your calls come in at once. And so technology really needs to support those needs.
Yeah. Do you see what sort of when you look and you guys, like I said, have a ton of breadth across insurance? What are some of the things that you see that are improving from a buy side? That maybe over the last 6-7 years has changed. Where have you seen like sort of the insurance industry continue to improve and grow from where it was maybe 7 years ago?
I think it's all about data for them. And they're finally to a place now where they're taking in all the data from all the different media sources. And from a media company standpoint, we really provide a lot of transparency back to our clients, because we know if we provide transparency down to the source level, our clients can come back to us and give us a lot of really granular data on what's working and what's not working. And then how do we price all that different media in order to deploy our marketing dollars where it is working for them.
Has that been difficult? I think historically, I remember working with, and this was a long time ago, but it was I won't even say the name of it, but it was an insurance company, a life insurance company that we would send them leads, and they weren't able to tell us how well they did for 6 months.
Yeah. I think that's definitely has gotten better. I think that a lot of insurance carriers do work, in long cycles. It could be maybe 90 days or 60 days, but I think there's a lot of really great early indicators that our clients can use. Even if we start with quote rate and then move to policy rate or premium, right, or lifetime value of that consumer, but you can go all the way down the funnel and have those early indicators and then optimize the funnel as you go.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I like to hear your opinion on what those are. So if I'm looking at sort of my metrics, obviously I don't want to wait until I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on my budget, right? Because if I'm waiting 30 days, I've already gone through thousands of dollars potentially, and I'm not able to optimize in real time, which I really need to do to be the most efficient and effective with my budget. What are those key metrics that they should be sort of looking at? Maybe that's different for a lead than a click or whatever, but
Sure.
what are those sort of key indicators that you go, oh yeah, if there's something, if this is happening, then shut it down or get more or whatever?
Yeah, so I think about it is a little bit different by product, but if we kind of start with clicks, I think the most important thing there is really looking at that quote rate, right? So you're looking at that quote rate, and then you're following that down to your policy rate, and then you're following that down obviously to your cost of policy and cost per quote, and then ultimately you're watching that lifetime value of those consumers coming down on a per source. I think with leads, you have some other early indicators that are really helpful, which could potentially be like your return rate. So if we were getting a lot of returns from a certain source, likely there's probably something wrong with that source, right? Or just not working for that client. And you can also use just contact rate. What is the contact rate on all these leads, right? Are you calling these leads right away and is the contact rate very low? Then you should probably provide that feedback back to your vendor. I think on the call side, I think what's really interesting to use there is the duration. So we really watch the average call duration. And so when your average call duration starts to dip, right, amongst any different source, then there you need to make some optimizations. And I think that all comes back to like why you need to demand really transparency, right, across all your different media sources coming through so you can optimize. Because, although you're just getting a bunch of different traffic in, it's not equal.
With regards to like contact rate and duration, what are those sort of just generally like what is a contact rate range that's should be somewhat acceptable and what's bad?
I think from a contact rate standpoint, right, you want to be targeting between like that 40 and 60%. It really is going to come down to the customer's process though, right? Yeah. So if you're not calling these leads right away, as being in this space for as long as you have been, that contact rate depletes pretty quickly. From an average duration, I think targeting between that 9 and 12 minutes is really a sweet spot for our clients.
Okay, good. I think it's nice to like for people to hear some of these things, just to go, okay, I'm kind of in the ballpark. If that's it, if it's 40 below, then I'm struggling and need to do something. If it's 60, that's pretty darn good. I think, I'm just guessing. I would think that 40, 50% is pretty good too,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you did touch on, or you made me think of something when you were talking about the data and the transparency. You guys, are you guys integrated with systems that provide like real time reporting back and forth? And in insurance, is there like a Velocify? Velocify is basically mortgage. Is there sort of a system that these guys work out of that you guys can integrate with, or no? Is it not that sophisticated yet?
We do integrate with a lot of the third parties out there, but I'd say most of the large insurance carriers have their own platforms.
And then I have to imagine it's probably tough to integrate with.
Yes. It definitely took a lot of time to enter the space.
Yeah. No, that's great. So where do you see, obviously you touched on it earlier about what you're excited about with the acquisition. There's a lot of obvious things I'm sure you're excited about with it, but moving beyond that transaction and the development of the company, where do you you said scale? Is it really about getting more marketing channels integrated into the system, or where do you see it going?
Yeah, so I'm very excited. I think you look at, DMS is a MarTech company and UE.co is an InsurTech company really coming together. And it was a very natural fit for both of us. I mean, we really invest, both of us, really heavy into our people and our process and our technology, and watching all that come together. And yeah, the scale is amazing. And it's going to be great to see all these different categories come together. I mean, DMS is vertical agnostic, so we're going to leverage a lot of their technology and media distribution across not only we do insurance, but how can we help them as well in other categories that they're in today.
And they have a call center as well. And so you guys, I don't know if you guys utilize that now or not, but they certainly have a lot of resources just even outside of traffic as well.
Yeah, it's really awesome, right, to be a part of even a larger organization. I think, UE.co, we are their 9th acquisition and the largest to date. And so to be now a part of, a huge company, or now, the single entry point for media distribution from a scale perspective makes it really exciting, not only for our customers, but our employees as well.
Yeah. Okay. So where would you like to see the insurance vertical continue to evolve? I mean, maybe it's like there's a weakness that you kind of see, and where would you like to see it get better? And that's one question. And then where do you kind of just see it as a whole, going over the next 5 years?
I think, where I want to keep evolving is on the data side. I kind of brought it up, but that's really been a focus for us, is just further integrating with these carriers and really understanding what's important to them and what the LTV is across all of our different media sources, and how do we go deploy marketing dollars appropriately. I think the space is going to continue to evolve in that space. It's really interesting what's kind of happened over the last handful of years we went through, not a lot of data and transparency to clients providing us quite a bit today. But I think we're going to continue to evolve there. I think there's a lot of opportunity still in the call space, right? As you think about AI and SMS and all these different things that are coming down the pipeline and every day evolve, of how do we integrate those services and provide them back to our clients?
Yeah, that's a good point too, with regards to messaging. And you guys aren't focused on anything really on that front, right? It's mainly just
that
traffic.
Hasn't been a core competency.
Yeah.
But it is for DMS global, and so there's a lot of opportunities there of how do we actually bring a lot of those synergies to the table across our clients.
Yeah. Okay. So how does someone get? What's the best way for someone to get involved in either demoing the product or getting on and utilizing for traffic generation?
Yeah, I think, to contact us, the best place to go is go to our site, right? Digital Media Solutions. And then from there, we'll get you in touch, right, with the best category owner.
Awesome. Well, good stuff. Is there anything else we should cover while we're here? I think we got a lot in. I mean, I think it's going to be really interesting to see insurance continue to evolve and mature. And I think platforms like this, and especially digital media solutions behind it, is really going to help. Is going to be good for the industry.
Yeah, we're very excited to be a part of their brand and excited for what's to come.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me today, Taryn. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, cool.